So last week on Battle Analysis, we talked about the Battle of Scipio, a relatively small battle, but one that I'm going to argue here is one of the most significant battles of the Clone Wars. Let's take a look at exactly what the Battle of Scipio meant for the future of the conflict, and how it affected the outcome of the war, which is now only a few months away. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So just a brief rundown, the Battle of Scipio was an engagement between the Galactic Republic and the Confederacy of Independent Systems over the planet Scipio, which was home to the banking clan and a majority of the galaxy's financial institutions. Control of Scipio basically meant control of the banks, and up until this point, Scipio itself, and most notably the complex controlled by the banking clan, was treated as neutral ground, where both sides would have sort of equal trading potential in getting loans needed to continue fighting this war. And, well, those loans were not fair. They greatly favored the Separatists up until this point in the war. They had still been fair enough to not seem like they were blatantly favoring one side. But all of that would change during the Battle of Scipio when the planet briefly fell under control of the CIS. Having installed Rush Clovis as the new head of the banking clan, the banks were quickly occupied by Separatist troops, changing their loan principles to allow the Separatists to take out further loans with no interest, while jacking up the rates on Republic loans, basically showing extreme favoritism towards the Separatists. Now, it's worth noting that they were already giving the Separatists interest-free loans, but the Republic loan rates were relatively reasonable. They had now become completely unreasonable. And viewing this as a Separatist takeover of the banks and an imminent threat to the Republic, which that would in fact be, the Republic launched a counter-invasion to seize Scipio and, by proxy, the banking clan. Now, on the grand scale of things, the Republic invasion of Scipio was very brief and didn't result in nearly as much fighting as most of the battles in the Clone Wars, but had a huge impact on what would come in the conflict, with the planet Scipio falling under Republic control and the banking clan being put directly under the control of the Chancellor of the Republic. Now, we don't know for sure what happened from that point on with the banks per se until the end of the war, but it's safe to make some assumptions. It's likely that any loans to the Separatists were pretty firmly cut off, with the banks now being directly under the control of the office of the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic. It's unlikely that this breakaway state was allowed to continue taking out loans to fund the production of new battle droids and new war equipment to continue their war against the Republic. Now, this would put the Separatists in a very tricky spot. They would be lacking the funds to continue manufacturing battle droids and tanks and so on and so forth, and this is maybe the worst time for that to happen because of what's happening on the other side of the front lines. The Republic are preparing for a massive offensive. Right on the horizon is a series of offensives that would become known as the Outer Rim Sieges, the death blow to the CIS. The Republic would launch a series of offensives into Separatist territory with the objective of taking key Separatist worlds and starving what was left of the CIS into submission. These battles would put the CIS firmly on the defensive and mark the beginning of the end of the war. And without the ability to manufacture battle droids to replace those lost in combat, the Separatists would face an increasingly uphill battle just to stay in the fight. Basically, without the support of the banks, which were now under the control of the Republic, the Separatists would not be able to hold defensive lines for very long under the onslaught of now battle-hardened Republic troops. So I would argue, if I had to pick a handful of battles that ended the CIS, the first and maybe most significant was the Battle of Scipio, which cut off their funds and would absolutely wreak havoc on the logistics side within the CIS for fighting this war. The beginning of this fall starts with the Battle of Scipio, when the Separatists are unable to hold control of the banks. Now, this battle still was rather dynamic, and like I said, was remarkably significant in the context of the Clone Wars as a whole and the events to come. If you'd like to learn more about how the Battle of Scipio played out, and sort of what went down on Scipio that resulted in the Republic controlling the banks, I'll leave a link up here to my battle analysis on that. And I'd like you to let me know down in the comments, do you think this really was the death blow to the CIS? Do you think losing control of the banks would result in them losing their loans? Do you think it put the Separatists in a position where they couldn't put up much of a fight against a large Republic offensive, or do you think I'm looking at this all wrong? You think there's another way the Separatists could have manufactured their battle droids? And if you have anything else you'd like to see me cover in Star Wars, you can let me know down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.